I'd straight up marry the shit out of Cass. That's a dope shirt. Out of the chaos. I get really frustrated when I hear people, adults, kids, anyone really, refer to someone else as bipolar. They say it so flippantly and they use it so carelessly, it's pretty clear they know nothing about bipolar. Undiagnosed or improperly treated, bipolar is a thing of nightmares. It's being afraid to go home because you don't know which version of your mom you're going to get. It's hiding in your bedroom to avoid conversation because one wrong comment could, at best, cause tears, or at worst, leave you cornered and helpless as objects and hands hit whatever they can reach, whatever you can't cover. Bipolar makes you flinch if happy mom reaches for a dish towel because irate mom uses it the way Mexican mamas use chanclas. Bipolar can make your family poor because the manic moments inspire impulsive spending on things you can't afford, and then it causes the depressive spirals when the bills can't be paid. And nothing will make you grow up faster than living in a house with a mother whose roller coaster of emotions teaches you to get out of bed 30 minutes early to avoid her, to open dog food cans just right so there's no reason for her to yell, or that the best way to make you feel better is to destroy something. Nothing will make you grow up faster than shielding your sister from an outburst, than sprinting to a neighbor's house to find anyone who can help calm your mom down. Growing up with my mom was like living in a minefield. One wrong step and the world would be blown to smithereens. If people could understand this, then maybe bipolar wouldn't be a joke. A rarely discussed detail about life in a military family is that the dad misses defining moments of a family's existence. Of course, everyone knows about war deployments, but infrequently do the experts mention field time. Just as infrequently will anyone discuss the non-war 6-month pawn hops to Kenya, Egypt, Australia, Japan, Korea. The list goes on and on. My dad missed the first year of my middle sister, Sammy's life. When he returned from his stint in Korea, he couldn't even hold her because she would explode into tears, believing him to be a stranger. We experienced the adoption of my youngest sister, Kelsia, without him because of the war on terror. Consequently, he didn't meet Kelsia until she was 2 months old. On my 9th birthday, my favorite picture was not one of me and my daddy, but of me and my dear family friend, because once again, of no fault of his own, my dad was gone. This time he was training for war in the blazing sands of the desert and exploring the glorious mountains of Sinai, Egypt, where Moses was speculated to have received the 10 Commandments. In these primitive days, the closest we had to Skype were scheduled teleconferences every few weeks. Although the video was grainy and the sound quality was like playing telephone in tin cans, we treasured those calls because Daddy was in our lives again. The calm before the call held all the importance of a surgeon's final stitch. It confirmed the time and location for a meeting. While very similar to secret agents' assignments, these messages didn't have the flair of the self-destruct. One time, though, it did. 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Are you sure? My mom asked. I imagined the speaker on the other end of the phone rolling her eyes and absent-mindedly confirming a time we already knew was wrong. What does she care if she made a mistake? It's not like her family clung to this one call for reassurance of family safety or familiarity or a crinkle of an eyed smile. We should have known. Are you fucking kidding me? The woman I spoke to yesterday said 10 p.m. I asked twice. Don't think if we had known the appointment was at 10 in the morning, we would have been there. What were we supposed to do now? Thanks a lot. There was no way of knowing if the phone ever made it back to the receiver. I peeked around the corner and I asked if my mom was okay. She pushed past me, out the front door and into the lanai. Fuck, 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 fuck. They started low and increased pitch and volume the way an ambulance sounds as it passes by. Anxiously, I followed her and out the unsuspecting front door, Sammy trailing behind. There was an old saying about the calm before a storm. What happens when there isn't? Thwack! Contact made. Thwack! Harder this time. The sidewalk remained unyielding as the storm that raged inside my tormented mother. I called out to my mom, who could only hear fury beating inside of her chest. Thwack! The crack, the panel that enclosed the patio buckled under the first floor. It caved under the second. Sammy, who had followed us outside, looked at me for an answer. I looked at her from her scared blue eyes to the fury behind her and sent her to the room with the promise that I'd be running for help. Ah! The bat struck something else. Sure that Sammy was safe, panicking, frantic, the grass fleeting kissed my feet. The gray-blue door of Mrs. Martha's house seemed a universe away as my 9-year-old legs carried me to help. My mom is going crazy. I fought to catch my breath. We're supposed to see Dad, but she has a bat. My favorite thing about Mrs. Martha was her golden red locks. That orange, yellow-colored kids used to draw the sun perfectly captured in Rapunzel's hair. It trailed behind her as she raced towards the strike zone. Go inside, I heard her say. Behind her, tears mixed with wood and anguish decorated the carnage surrounding my mom. She had used my baseball bat, my beautiful specimen of mahogany, emblazoned with white letters that spelled out Louisville Slugger. When I stumbled upon it later, the lanai, the sidewalk, and my mom had successfully mangled the round tip of the bat to make it look like a victim of a teething toddler and a hungry dog. The bat, like so many other things, eventually joined her other pieces in the garage and the garbage. This was the first time I understood that there was no calm before the storm, only a whirlwind of chaos and the aftermath. Without the benefit of howling sirens or an ominous cloud sheltering in place was the only option. Every day was not a horror movie, waiting for the girl to enter the cornfield. In fact, what makes bipolar disorder such a terrifying beast, I'd argue that for every terrible day, there was an awesome day. One day where things could seem normal, if normal could exist after tragedy, when my mom would defy the expected and reveal her good side. Oh no, I groaned as I stared at my hateful alarm clock, which had conveniently chosen to take the morning off. I dared not wake the dragon as I scurried mouse-like from room to room in a flurry of frustration and anxiety. I checked the clock again. I had exactly 2 minutes to get to the bus stop. Breakfast, not going to happen. Coat, also not an option. That would require opening a squeaky door and hoping she doesn't notice I was still in the house, that even though I should have left 10 minutes ago. I snuck quietly out of the house and began the cold bricks stop to the bus stop. The world froze with my fingertips as I heard a familiar chugging of the bus and saw the behemoth, yellow and polluting, leave without me. The smell of black tires and exhaust coating my lungs. I had missed the bus. No matter how I looked at it, miss the bus was the worst thing that could have happened. I could feel in the depth of my bones that my mother was going to destroy me. Tears stung my eyes, and I hesitated before turning back because I knew that now I would have to tell her I missed the bus. I knew that I would have to go out of the way to take me to the school after dropping Sammy off. I knew, or thought I knew, that I was in for a super lecture, the kind where spit grazes your face and the decibel of her yell could tame wild dogs. But don't you dare wipe your eyes or cover your ears, because what would happen next be far worse. Eyes watering, head hanging, I pushed open the door to the house of my doom and prepared for the onslaught of reprimands. Why are you home? My mother snapped, followed by much softer. Why are you crying? I quickly, and through the mumbled sobs, explained that I had missed the stupid bus and I didn't want to get in trouble, and I tried to get there, but... Calm down, she insisted. Get your stuff in the car and I'll drop you off after I drop off your sister. Relief covered me like a warm blanket. Surprised at this unusually calm response, I crawled into the back seat, anticipating the wrath of my mom to manifest in the car, where I'd be trapped and restrained, unable to escape. The drive to the house, from the house to Greenwood, my sister's elementary school, was quiet and filled with a wait until your dad gets home vibe. When Sam got out of the car, I moved to the front seat and began planning my funeral. Just kidding, there would be no funeral, I told myself. And when my mom left the highway 2 exits before the one for my school, I fully believed she was going to kill me and leave me in an empty field. There were no fields, much to my relief, but a sketchy road filled with dilapidated buildings, trash strewn in the side streets, and equally disheveled people. If I didn't die, she was definitely going to sell me to the gypsies. We turned onto the familiar highway of the drive-through of the only McDonald's and listened as a female Jesus came through the speakers. Mom ordered, "Can I get an Egg McMuffin and a large Diet Coke?" No food for the dead girl. As we pulled forward, I eyed the mocking clock on the dashboard. Mom's response had been weird enough, and now she was casually making her way through the drive-through. I was going to be late for school. Maybe that was my punishment. The walk of shame down the empty school halls to the attendance office. The awkward stare as I disrupted class with my unexcused tardiness. The nerd in me shuddered, and the tears pulled in my eyes again just as we reached the second window. A small brown bag made its way through the window of the car, and my mom handed it to me as she reached for her drink. Hey, here comes, I thought. I'll tell you what. If you peel the egg off my sandwich, you can stay home. Seriously? I asked incredulously. Yeah, we'll call it a mental health day. It's been a crappy week. Calm coursed through the veins at the realization that she wasn't going to kill me. I was expecting a beating, a grounding, a burial, or something far worse. My mom, who I could only assume understood that life was snowballing on me and carried me down the hill, overlooked my error and gave me a break. I never felt more loved in that moment, and I never loved another egg as much as I loved the one on that McMuffin. We make jokes about things now, flippant comments about the time she chased me down the hallway or getting your ass beat, Bill's character. Comments that are supposed to be funny, but cut to the quick, make you flinch on the inside. Opening old wounds and pouring lemon juice on cuts that were otherwise unnoticeable. It's an imperceptible hurt only known to those who carry the weight of crazy. Mom and me. When she pulled me across the room by my hair because I shattered my piggy bank, when she cornered me in my favorite butterfly chair and hit me with a shoe so hard. It left an imprint on my arm when she complained to my dad. Excuse me. That I left a bruise on her leg, proof that I finally fought back. Then I got in trouble for being disrespectful Every one of those moments bound us to each other in a relationship's 2-part tragedy and 1 part undermedicated. For these reasons, I get really frustrated when people make jokes about bipolar disorder, because what the fuck do they know about bipolar disorder? When they hear my stories, they ask if she ever got over it. As if bipolar disorder is a bad ex-boyfriend you finally realize didn't deserve you. Like choosing not to listen to that Kesha song anymore because your friends made fun of your ridiculous obsession with mainstream poppy bubblegum princesses. It's not a song on a playlist you can skip or delete. Bipolar is not a speed bump. You don't get over it. It's a mountain that you must climb, and sometimes the rocks slide and sometimes the trees get in the way. Sometimes you have to give up and try again some other day. It is this understanding that keeps me from being angry at her and her utter lack of control, at my dad and his inability to stop her, at my life and the childhood I never truly had. Although their apologies don't make it right, I can at least rest easy knowing that she never did it on purpose. I cling to the moments where I can see her actively fight back against the beast that rages inside, and I'm her biggest cheerleader. She makes the perfect picture of strength and weakness, the perfect demonstration of everything that I hate and everything I want to be. She is the daily reminder that beauty can only be found when pulled out of the chaos. Thank you.